Hello and welcome to part 3 of our mini course. So far we've gone through the basics of what net zero is and a bit about the methodology to calculate your emissions, including scopes 1, 2 and 3. At Etrify we don't like to hang about. In this part we'll be providing you with a really easy, practical 10-step list to act on net zero right now in your business. The first 2 points here are around pension and banking. So one of the biggest changes that you can make in your business to have an impact is to change your pension and bank accounts. Often money that's sitting in pensions and bank accounts is unknowingly being invested in fossil fuel companies. There are 2 campaigns here, one called Make My Money Matter for pensions and one called Bank.Green for banking, that make this really easy to understand and provide a lot more information. A really quick way to avoid this is to change your providers to more sustainable alternatives. For pensions, check out Nest, Penfold or PensionBee, and for banks, check out Triodos, Monzo or Starling. The next few points are around your procurement habits, so try to purchase products locally or from sustainability focused companies if you can. It's normally pretty evident if a company is sustainability focused, it'll be all over their website. Secondly, buying second-hand, so this will drastically reduce your footprint as well as demand for new products. When we calculate the emissions for refurbished items, we knock off the production emissions, which usually make up about 60 to 90%, so you can have a big reduction there. And thirdly, buy minimal, so try and reduce consumption and only buy what you really need. Really think about the justification for buying something new. Is it truly needed or is it a nice to have? The next few points are around consumer behaviours. And these are more kind of standard pieces of advice that you'll tend to hear a lot around travel, energy and food. Typically these will be perceived as consumer behaviours, but I think it's really important to remember that as business owners, we're still consumers in our lives, as are our employees. So firstly, for commuting and business travel, cut down on cars and flights where possible, and instead walk, cycle or use public transport to get to work. If you're providing food, perhaps for an event, consider buying vegetarian or vegan food instead. And if you haven't already, switch your office to a green energy provider like Octopus, Ecotricity or Good Energy. And if you have a lot of employees, these 3 points will be really relevant for them as well, and you can have a really big impact as a business by encouraging them to adopt more sustainable behaviours. If you'd like to take things a step further, then you can come up with a plan on how your business will work on net zero and come up with more of a strategy around it. As mentioned in part 2, the first step is always identifying where your emissions lie, and this is something that Etrify can help with. And lastly, be transparent. Publicly disclose your net zero efforts and have conversations on the topic with key stakeholders. Our mission at Etrify is to make carbon transparency the norm in business. One of the biggest powers that we have as a business is to use our voice and influence as a force for good. By being transparent, having those conversations and constantly encouraging action is what's going to lead to the systemic change that we really need to bring global emissions down at scale. So now finally, just again like to ask you to have a look at these questions and have a moment of reflection on what we've just been through. Do you know what fund your pension is in? Is it an ESG or sustainable fund? Again, have a look at Make My Money Matter to give you more information on this. How green is your bank? You can check on Bank.Green. They're really easy. You basically put in your bank and they give it a score on how kind of green they are. And this is weighted by pretty much how much the bank is or isn't funding fossil fuels. What are your procurement habits like? Do you often purchase new or refurbished items? Do you purchase from sustainable suppliers? Have you or your employees made any other behaviour changes? For example, with food, travel or energy? Do you need help with your net zero strategy? And have you publicly disclosed your net zero efforts? So now for the last time, let's take a look at our net zero canvas and fill in section 3. We've reached the end and I hope you've enjoyed taking part in our short course as much as I have. If you're feeling empowered to do more, then please get in touch. I know that this is a lot of work and it can take time, but we can help remove that barrier so you have more time to focus on your business. The first step in any net zero strategy is to calculate your emissions so you can identify hotspots and come up with a reduction plan. Our carbon sprint is a really simple 3-step process to rapidly calculate company emissions. We offer a more in-depth workshop to help with understanding, and then we help you manage and structure your emissions data to calculate the carbon footprint of your entire value chain, including Scope 3. At the end, you'll receive a full impact report with bespoke next steps and reduction recommendations. Thanks again for taking part in our short course, and I hope to see you on one of our sprints soon.